Now, in addition to just being able to record these commands, we can also modify these commands and add our own commands. So we don't have to just use what's recorded. And sometimes, in a lot of cases here, you can see some of our click and waits, we might not want to select things by a CSS element named EM. It's not very clear what we're trying to do. So there's a couple things we can do. One thing to make this a little bit more clear is we can insert comments. So we can do a insert new comment here, and we can move that down, and then we can just put in a comment here, and we're going to say something like click the first link, and that'll make it a little bit clearer what we're doing. You can break up your tests that way just to make things a little bit more clear. Now, the other thing that we can do is we could modify this. We could choose our own target. We can change any of these commands, and we can also add new ones. So let's, for example, try to manually add one of these commands that we could have recorded. So if we go to that page that we had gone to here, let's say we want to click this link here. Well, in order to do this, we need to be able to identify this link. So if we go to inspect element here, we can see what the HTML looks like here. And there's really not an ID or anything good to grab this by. It seems like probably the best way to identify this link is that it starts with the words Firefox, the clear winner. So that's how we'll identify this one. So we'll just go ahead and go back into our IDE here. And let's go ahead and create a new command here, click and wait command. And we're going to go ahead and set the target equal to link equals, and then we're going to use Firefox, the clear winner, star. And so we only care about this first part. This star means that we can match any other text there. And what we can do here is we can just click this and it will run. So if I double click here, you can see that if I bring up that web browser again, that actually ran and it brought us to this page. And so that's a quick way to test a command here. We can also do this find here, and it's giving us an error here, locator not found, link Firefox the clear winner. So why is it doing that? Because we're on the other page here. But if we go backwards and then we try this find here, you can see in this log, it is able to find this. There's not an error showing up here. And this is useful for just testing out to see if you're writing the right command when you're adding commands manually. And you might be wondering, how do you know what commands to add and what these commands do? Well, there's a reference here, and it's a little bit hard to find. So let me show you where you can find this. If you go to that seleniumhq.org, the main Selenium page, and you go to documentation, and then under Selenium IDE, under Selenium commands, Celanese, here there's a command reference, and this is the only place I was able to find that links to this. And inside here, it talks about what we had talked about, the command, target, and value, and it has each one of the commands. And for example, locators, you can see that we can locate something by ID, by name, by DOM, by XPath, by link. So there's explanations of how you could do locators for any of those commands that would take a locator. And then we have the different match patterns. We had used the glob pattern when we used that star there. And then you have all of these different actions. Basically every command in here has this reference inside here. And these references are actually the same ones that you'll see inside of the IDE. So if we look at the IDE here, it's the same text here. But the locators aren't specified in here. So if you need to find the reference for the locators, that's a good place to look. And before we move on here, let's take a look at this source tab here. So we're looking at our script in terms of command, target, and value, but really the way that the IDE is saving this is in HTML. So you can see this is just an HTML document, and so we could actually just load this up, and the runner is basically going to take this type of format, and we could export this, we could copy it, paste it, send it to someone, and they could run the same script. It's a nice portable format. It's pretty much language independent. It's HTML in this case, but the IDE would take this, and we'll see in a little bit how we can export to other languages.